questions, you can just let us know. The card that's in your packet is Carmen's card. Go ahead and give her a call. She's the one that has been working very closely to put all of this together with the WESELPA, and you can talk with her. I'm sorry, my cards aren't ready, or we wait. So if you'll contact her, then she can go from there. But we would, we'd love to have you come over and take a look at any of the programs that we have. Any questions?
Yeah, there were a couple. I know last time we talked about there were this. I mean, there were a couple changes and a little bit of confusion about the collaborative classrooms versus a non-public school. So if you're interested in perhaps having a student attend the non-public school, that referral would come here through the WESELPA, and Ann Savage would work with you to facilitate that. Originally, the collaborative classroom through Chino is through a separate contract between Chino and Spectrum. Shauna, my understanding was you may have a couple places available in the collaborative classrooms. So if you have a student who would, and the collaborative classroom is part of, the general school campus, maybe for a student who's ready to transition back into a regular school, if you were interested in that, you would contact Shauna or Jermaine. Jermaine, are you okay? If you're interested in any of the other services that currently Mary talked about but aren't in place here, you would contact Carmen and talk about that, and you could set those up. So we have this resource here. They have these CBAs. They have staff that are very experienced in doing staff development. So perhaps you have a program where you need to bring in some consultants. You can go ahead and work with them since they're here to go ahead and do that. But you would give Carmen a call, and she will work seamlessly to get you in touch with all of the right people. So, any other questions?
What's the age group for the children at Liberty?
It's at elementary, and I believe through middle school.
Okay, and then the one at the Alta, is that easy just for high school kids, or junior high?
And with Chris is the collaborative for Chino that has the middle school students, so that would be a contact with Sean.
Right. The Liberty program, we're waiting to get a couple more kids. I mean, if you've ever been a teacher, I used to have snow days in New York, and teachers always kind of show up. They never close school, but they just stop transportation, and sometimes you get one or two kids, and it just doesn't make a classroom. So they need to get a couple kids together in order to actually have a classroom. I think we have a couple kids that they're thinking about. So if you have somebody in that age group, we can go ahead and move forward as soon as we have enough kids.
If it's a K-8 at Liberty, is it separated by smaller grade levels, like in one room K-8, or you have multiple rooms?
Well, we don't have enough students yet to even start one class.
Oh.
So it would have to depend on the students that are referred. So, and as we grow, of course, we would then separate probably K-3, for
They do have the space to grow into some additional classrooms. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to have us.
Okay, next on our agenda is the 2011-12 WESELPA priorities.
Okay, as always, we meet the beginning of each year as a WESELPA group and come up with some priorities for the year. And before these go to superintendents, I just wanted to get any feedback to get a sense of whether or not these match your needs. And you see at the top our quote for the year. It seems that change is always in the wind, and there's not much we can do about it, but set our sails to, get to the destination. Basically, for the administrators, referrals, we're looking at providing support for the self-review. That's a key component this year. Establishing educationally related mental health services, and also to continue with looking at the recommendations of the FICMAT study. In due process, do you want to review those, Amy, real quick?
Sure, maybe the next two.
Yeah.
All right, under due process, our team came up with, using ed benefit analysis to evaluate potential due process cases, provide effective services to students with special needs, looking more proactively. Working on decreasing procedural errors by increasing effective communication trainings and follow-up, and SACE and other things. Continue to develop expertise in behavior intervention and case management. Explore ADR options that will build positive relationships between parents and districts while reducing due process. And reduce the MPSA to the MPA. Referral errors by providing proper training to district staff.
So Amy, can you tell me what some of that training might include?
On which one?
Reduce the NPA, NPS.
I think the trainings on with MPA, understanding behavior intervention programs and the assessments, as far as NPS, trainings on behavioral interventions, working closely with regional center, or regional service staff, when students start to have difficulties, how to put additional interventions within the current setting. You know, really looking, again, there you'd be looking at benefits, so they kind of tie together. Is the student benefiting? Do I know they're benefiting? How do I know? Looking at all those things. Any other questions? All right, regional services. Again, to train and support WESELPA districts in implementing evidence-based and compliant practices. See the theme with compliance review this year. Build capacity in district staff that promotes positive behavior support practices for students, something we continually do. Implement individual plan of service for each district that promotes effective partnerships and utilizes expertise of all regional service staff. Continue to provide the autism certificate program, and provide ongoing partnerships with teachers, families, districts that support the education of students with special needs. And all of those relate to our vision document where we have all of our projects, which I think we kind of shared a list of those priorities in May.
And the VOC team is continuing to have workability, work with middle and high school students. We do have quite a few teachers who have already signed up for a middle school project, and they're already out there scheduling presentations for the high school. Transition Partnership Program also is working. Goal is to work with Department of Rehabilitation to transition identified students into competitive employment, and then as a team they're working to increase their involvement in the community and kind of awareness of transition in both team services. And then our clinical counseling services have a number of goals this year, and they're working on developing a new referral protocol and assessment procedures, because our services are going to be changing a bit, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Expand and train the staff to meet the needs of educationally related mental health services program. Develop and expand the continuum of services. To take a look at facility options, and to develop some podcasts. That is one of the goals and one of the things we worked on at our back to the year kickoff, our gathering. A number of podcasts are being developed to help with things like the referral process. So, you know, if you have somebody new come on, it's right there. Carolina, I know, Gino sent out her podcast to a number of the new fiscal directors. So we're trying to make use of these. And then also to look on procedures and policies for residential and non-public school placement and modeling good practice. They're going to plan a staff retreat because we all know we need to take care of ourselves as well as others. Jean, can I ask that we go ahead to C9? We had to reorganize the agenda because originally we thought Amy wasn't going to be here. And so we put all her items up front. But two of our counselors are here, and Jan, who is our behavior specialist, who has experience and background with ED programs in her previously employment up north. I think can help us in this next item, and I know Lisa and Dave will need to leave. Sure. So I'm not, really going to go over every bit of this. I hope you've had an opportunity to read, but essentially, last year we had a little confusion. We weren't quite sure who was going to end up in charge of educationally related mental health services this year. But it is clear with the new budget that all of the Ed Code and Government Code previously related to AB 3632 has been rescinded and will become inoperative as of January 1st, but at this point it's been rescinded, so it really doesn't matter. I don't know why they do the 2 dates. So we're a little bit more fortunate in the West End SELPA, in part because we've always had counseling services, and in part, unlike some other counties and SELPAs, we had to head into this last January, and so we're partway down the road, and we have some infrastructure and things in place. And so we will go ahead and continue to provide the mental health services that we've always had in place, and those will incorporate the students with AB 3632 services. We will also be taking on the responsibility for residential assessments and placements, and Anna Savage will be going out and doing the monitoring, and she'll be chairing those IEPs, and we also have interviewed and will offer, as soon as we get approval, a counselor who has experience from DBH in doing residential assessments so that we can begin to take that responsibility on. But we also feel there's a couple other things that need to be in place. I mean, we've kind of dealt with this problem of students with behavioral issues with, maybe just 2 arrows in our quiver. They either get outpatient counseling or they get placed residentially. And maybe there needs to be a more full array of services and options that can help support students in the least restrictive environment. So we want to kind of brainstorm some of that today. First off, though, I do need to remind you that it will be important for us to review all of the existing IEPs. We had, at the time DBH handed over their list, there were 78 students who were identified as receiving AB 3632 services. We went ahead, made offers of services through community agencies or SELPA counseling for all of those students. However, less than half of them really ever responded and took those up. Now, in part, there were some problems with the DBH list as well. Some of those kids no longer even attended school here. So we did have some dropout there. But I think at this time, it will be really necessary for all of you to go back, take a look at your IEPs, and in your personal agenda, you have a copy of the students for your district only, of students who have individual counseling on their IEP. So, and where the counselor was identified in SACE, or we knew who the counselor was, that is included on your list. But some of you will notice that on your list you have a lot of kids who have no identified counselor. And those are probably the ones